Well, this is an intro video to how I learned skills, my methodologies behind it, and what I want is for you to comment skills that you want to see me learn in the future, and then I'll make videos on how I learned them and maybe learning them if I think I can get it in a short enough time span that makes a good video. So comment that below, and then I will go through the methodologies that I use to learn these. These are constantly being revamped and built upon as I read more, as I learn more skills and everything that's around that. So the 3 books that have impacted me the most with learning skills is The Art of Learning, Play, How It Shapes the Brain, and The Inner Game of Tennis. If you haven't read those books, I encourage you to read those books because they're really good in general. But the main concepts that I want to share from those today is from The Art of Learning is invest in loss. So every time you lose, or maybe you don't win or something like that, you can see it as a win because you're learning something. So it is learning every time you do something, you go through it. One of the things they talk about is embracing setbacks. So if you can embrace them as a positive thing, instead of saying it's good or bad, it's just a thing that happens, then you can start to build upon that and develop yourself and the skill quite quickly. The other aspect is making small circles is the term that he uses it. I don't necessarily use that same term, but the point is that you refine something very small and then you build upon it. And as you do that, you can build a giant skill that you can do. And then people are like, wow, how are you so good at this? A good tangible aspect to that is if you learn snowboarding, how to carve on your toe side, and then learn to carve on your heel side, and then you start putting them together, it's 1 circle, 2 circle, and now you get a bigger circle, now you're able to carve. Maybe you started even with just power sliding, just kind of skimming on your heels and then skimming on your toes, things like that. And then you can start to build upon that to where you can do park, where you can do jumps, where you can be comfortable doing all those things. So that's The Art of Learning. Second one, Play, How It Shapes the Brain, is understanding your play style, which I will use my notes for this because there's quite a bit, and then I'll talk on the ones that I am. So there's the Joker, the guys that are always funny, making silly things out of situations, but that's where they learn the best. The kinesthetic, I think is the way he pronounces it. But basically, they love movement. So when they're doing movements, sports, things like that, that's where they learn the best. They're really advanced typically in those types of skills because it's how they play. The explorer, so being able to discover new things, allows them to play. All these things are not necessarily directed towards learning, but when you're playing, you're also learning, which is a big concept in that book. The competitor, the guy who always keeps score. If there's one of your friends that you're like, oh, I like playing with him because he always keeps score, he's probably a competitor. When he plays, he enjoys the score, sometimes more than the actual game, which is just fine because that's how he's playing. But some people get very bothered by that. They have a different style of play. The director, basically the person who organizes things, likes to direct it and kind of be in charge. One of the notes in there is like the orchestra director, like genuinely the director, like he's playing while he's doing that, versus someone who might want to be like an artist who's playing in there, in the orchestra. The collector is kind of the gatherer, likes to find valuable objects. That's how he plays. I used to have a rock collection, but I don't really collect stuff much anymore. But that's kind of, that was a play for me for a while. The artist or creator, find things that are artistic, building, things like that. That's their form of play. And then the storyteller, the person who likes to tell stories, things like that. So for me, the ones I see the most is the kinesthete. Basically, it's kind of a word of kinesiology and athlete, which is human movement and athletics. And I love to play different sports, learn different movements, from handstands to, I've been working on the trampoline just for fun, to any sport I can play with other people. It's really fun. And the explorer, I like to explore, find new ways of movement. When I'm in here, I access my explorer and I'm able to learn really quick on how to do movements because I'm exploring, I'm changing the ways that I do things. And the last one is the artist or creator. I see this the most for myself when I'm playing the drums or doing something artistic in that sense. I like to create music. And that's a really fun thing for me. It's a way that I find play that's different than the normal movement. So being able to see those different types of play styles allow you to look at, okay, I want to learn how can I do this skill in this style of play that I enjoy more, so I enjoy the skill more. That becomes sometimes difficult, but if you're a competitor and there's nothing competitive about the skill you're trying to learn, it might not be as fun for you, but make it competitive. Join a community that competes with each other. Things like that all wrap around into learning skills. The last one is the inner game of tennis. The main concept that I take from this is that there's nothing good or bad when you're learning skills. A mistake is not bad, and doing it, like winning, how he describes it, is like hitting a perfect shot is not good. It's just a shot. You honor the game as the aspect of a game itself, and that it's not good to win, it's not bad to lose. It's not good to hit a good shot. It's so ingrained in our brain to think that way, but if you can take it out of there's no good or bad when you're going in through sports, you'll be able to be much more on the outside and see what you're doing that's causing the outcome that you see. And if you want to change that outcome, you can build upon that. So part of that is not dwelling on your mistakes as you go through them. Mistakes aren't bad, they're just not what you're desiring to do. So focus more on the desire of what you're doing, and you're going to see that come on the outcome of your game. Those 3 books, super good. That was a very, very fast overview of each of them because they're all very in depth on what they talk about. But I hope you enjoyed it. Now to the methods that I use to do these skills and learn skills as I'm going through. So the first one I call the funnel method. Basically, it's overcorrection. So if you do something like this, you're going to do something like this right after. So if you're doing a handstand and you fall over the top, the next time you should fall backwards. Or if you keep having your feet land this way, like they keep coming down to where they came up, then you should go over the other side. As that builds upon itself, you'll find that center. You'll funnel down to where you want to be balanced. The pros to this is that it can work pretty fast, and you can master things of like, oh, you're just now dialed into the center, and when you do make a mistake, you just go back to the other way. You just keep funneling it. The cons to this is if you overcorrect on movements that are dangerous, that can cause injury, you can cause worse injury. So an example of this is a backflip. If you're trying to backflip and you over-rotate, it's not too good. And if you try to backflip and you under-rotate, it's also not too good. So when there's a fear aspect to it, it makes the funnel method a little bit difficult, but it still can be used. You just have to find a safe situation to do it in. The next one is the imagine method. This is the safest one. And basically, I kind of call it the sleep on it method. But when you're going to try to learn a skill, if you find yourself kind of at a roadblock, you're like, I don't know how to do this. Imagine yourself while you go to sleep doing it perfectly. And if you can imagine it over and over and over again, the next day, there is science that backs this, but the next day, you'll be able to do it better. There's a scientific study on free throws, and they had one control group not think about free throws, one control group only think about making free throws, and one control group actually practice them. The people who practiced it had the biggest increase by the end of the experiment. The group that imagined it had an increase, and then the group that didn't think about it or work on it actually, I think they stay the same or decreased. But it does work. Imagining does work. And seeing how your body moves through space and seeing it from the outside. The pros is it's super safe, like I said. The cons is that it can backfire. If you find yourself imagining yourself failing continually, it does backfire. So don't think of the fail, just constantly think of the success that it can go through. The last one is the tempo method. So I learned this one with drumming, and basically we're gonna slow stuff down super slow to be able to learn it at a tempo that your brain can consciously think of what you're doing until you can ingrain it into your subconscious, which is where you see people do skills. You're like, how do they even do that? They're not thinking about it anymore. It's in their subconscious. But sometimes when you're learning patterns, doing it slow enough for your conscious mind to think of it can allow you to start accepting it as okay and safe, and then you can do it. The pros to this one is it is extremely successful when you're able to just go through it with time. The cons is it's extremely tedious. So when you're trying to play, say, a paradiddle, but you have to slow it down to it's just so boring. That's just a drumming example. Also, the con with this is if you're trying to learn to juggle, you can't necessarily throw it slower. But what you can do is if you're trying to learn to juggle really low, you can learn to juggle high, and then you start learning the timing of watching the ball drop. Will this directly correlate to one to the other? Not necessarily, but if you can do it slow with more time to think, you can probably do it fast, and then you can see the problems when you're doing it slow. If you're noticing that your left hand always throws in, or right hand, one hand always, let's say it always throws in, then you can start using the funnel method to go, okay, the next one I throw, say my left hand always throws in. Now it's hard. It's hard to do the wrong thing now. Let's say it always throws in, so it's trying to move me back. I can do the other way and like, okay, now I'm always going forward, and then I find the middle. So when you do it slow, you're able to see the problem, and then you can use the funnel method to funnel yourself to the success. So I hope you enjoyed this overview of the way I learned skills. There's going to be more of these that are coming out. And again, if you want to see me learn a certain skill, I like the challenge. So it'll be fun if you comment below, and then I make a video on me learning it. So make it tangible too. Don't tell me I have to learn how to cliff dive 150 feet cliff. Like that one might hurt. So I'll see you in the next video.